Hi, Genki Call here with another video for you. We're gonna have another tutorial, but I can't quite call this a tiny tutorial because I think it's gonna go quite a bit of time because I'm going to cover every class that's currently in the game, what kingdom they're from, what the class weapon is, and what race each class will make your hero. I'm not going to go over the talents because that would just take too long, but I will show you the traits for each one. I'm going to do these in alphabetical order, but I will show you my map so you can take a look here at where things are on the map. So you may want to get Sentinel pretty quickly, but when you start off down here at Broken Spire, you have to go up around here, you have to go down here. Let me grab my tributes. Doodaloo, excuse me, sorry about that. You have to go down over here, over around here, up this way, and let me pause to say, once you get over here, finish up Sin and Maraj so that you can go down into the underworld. That will be helpful for you. Go on up here, all the way up here. Enerskaya is one of the last places that you're going to be able to get to, and that is where you'll find Sentinel. But let's get down to it. We'll do it in alphabetical order now that I've shown you the map. And here we go. To find your classes, first you go into Troops. You click on the class button. We're going to go all the way down here to the beginning. Alphabetical order, like I said. Now I click on one and it won't let me equip it. The reason is because I don't have a team selected. So if I select a team, doop, I gotta scroll back again. And I click here, then I can equip. But I don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to show you now Archer. Archer is from Forest of Thorns. Where is it? There it is. And will make you an elf. The class weapon is the Dragon Oak. 250 wins will get you this weapon. Okay. And then the skills, or rather traits, that you can have with this class. Nature Heart, Fast, Bullseye. This is very nice. This is fantastic. I think it's an underrated class, really. Next up we have Archmagus. Now Archmagus, I'll show you the traits first because it's less work this way. Okay, Mystic Bond, Arcane, and Mana Flare. For class, this is the class for Silverglade. It makes you a Mystic, and Reflection of Good is the class weapon. Reflection of Good is very helpful on Guild Wars Purple Day, and just in general. You know, the status effects in the game can be very helpful, and that makes this a fun weapon. Next is Assassin, which makes you a Naga. Now the traits are here: Sturdy, Venomous, and Assassinate. This is pretty damn cool. Excuse me. This makes you from Mist of Scales and makes you Naga, as said. Class weapon is Serpentine Dagger, and here's what it does. Next we have Barbarian. The traits here: Orc Fury, Agile, and Barbaric Fury. I did not realize I didn't have this traded, so I'll do that now. Alright, so class info. This makes you from Grosh-Nak. You become an Orc, and the Orc King's Club is a splash damage weapon. Bard. Traits: Wildfolk Bond, Alert, and Bardic Inspiration. This makes you from Pan's Vale. You become a Wildfolk. Folk. And Orpheus's Lute is your weapon. Next we have Corsair. Traits are Water Heart, Greedy, and High Seas. This makes you from Blackhawk and makes you a rogue. Plunder and Peril. This is one of the two farming for gold weapons in the game. Since Skeleton Key got nerfed, this is my preferred weapon of choice for when I'm gold farming. Next is Deathknight. Deathknight's traits are Undead Bond, Warded, and Death Curse. This can screw you up if you're in PvP for sure. Class info. This makes you from Ghulvania and Undead. The Crypt Keeper is a lot of fun. I have used this in events and it's quite useful. Next is Dervish. Dervish's traits: Monster Bond, Agile, and Monstrous Kin. This can be fun with troops like Megavore. Class info. You become from let me start that over. It makes you from Drifting Sands and a monster, and Dancing Daggers, another good weapon, is the class weapon. Remember, 250 wins on the class to get the class weapon, whichever class it is. Next up is Diabolist. Accursed, Jinxed, and Hellsteed. Class info. This makes you from Blighted Lands and makes you a demon. Fiend Fire is a fun weapon. It was very fun in Arena before they changed Arena up so you couldn't have your hero in there. But this can be very helpful, especially if you're using one of these classes that gives you... actually, let me show you one of these classes that give you Fireblade. Triple skull damage to burning enemies. I believe Warlord also does that. I think there may be a couple others as well. Next up is Doomsayer. Traits are Accursed, or Accursed, Omen of Dark, and Doomsight. Gosh, I need to use these more. Class info. You are from Sin of Maraj, a demon, and Sin's Harvest is your weapon. And here's what it does. I think this is an underused weapon. This is actually pretty powerful. It's beat me in PvP once or twice, or maybe more. Dragonguard. I bet you can't guess where that's from. Dragon Shield, Holy Armor, and Dragon's Grace. This makes you from Dragon's Claw, and you become a dragon. Go figure. Dragon's Eye is something I've never used, because I really don't want to transform my enemies. When I transform them, it makes them full mana again. And they can turn into a mythic, which I really don't want. Now, if I really want to throw off the enemy's synergy, then something like this is going to be helpful, especially if they have something that's incredibly powerful, but I've never bothered utilizing that particular weapon. Next is Frostmage, one of the best, I should say most useful, at least to me, classes in the game. You've got Waterheart, Arcane, and Frostbite. This makes you from Glacial Peaks. This is right up there near Urskaya, so this is one of the ones you'll get last when you're working on your map. It makes you a Fae, and the Orb of Winter is one of my favorite weapons for classes. Not only does it do damage across the board, but it also self-enchants, which I love. That's very helpful. Hierophant. Revered, Spell Armor, and Ancient Mysteries. It's nice, I like that. Class info. This makes you from Bright Forest. You are a Fae, and Summer's Wonder is your weapon. I really need to make use of some of these things more often. I need to experiment more with this stuff. So, next we have Knight. Knight Bond, Avenger, and Full Plate. Class info. It makes you from Sword's Edge. You become a Knight, and Serve and Protect is your weapon. Mechanist. That is Adana, I can tell you right offhand. Mech Bond, Insulated, and Clockwork. This is super helpful if you're going to be using something like Tina. Tina is very powerful. I don't see her much in PvP anymore. I think she's kind of fallen to the wayside with some of the newer stuff, but class info, Adana, as mentioned, you become a mech, and the Dragonator 8000. This looked really cool when I first saw it, but it really hasn't been that useful to me. I think that this weapon could use an upgrade to make it a little bit more useful, so that maybe we could start using it again. Next is Monk. Traits are Sky Ancestry, Agile, that's always helpful, and Good Karma. Class info, this makes you from Shentain. You become an elf, and Spiked Manriki is your weapon. And here's what it does. Actually like this weapon quite a bit. Necromancer is fun. Necromancer's traits, Undead Bond, Magic Spirit, and Ensoul. That's always nice when you're soul farming. And class info, this makes you from Qatar. You are undead, and Creeping Death is a fun weapon. And here's what it does. Oracle. Oracle, Centaur Bond, Invigorated, and Portent. Come on, there we go. Class info, you are from Divinion Fields, a Centaur, and Staff of Visions is actually a weapon I had forgotten about. This can be really, really handy, especially with troops like Finesse or that kind of thing. I would never use this with a Finesse team, but it's just an example. But yeah, this is a good weapon I had totally forgotten about. Orb Weaver, another one of the most useful classes in the game. I hate fighting people with Orb Weaver because of the summons that come with it. And this right here, such a pain. Nature Heart, Mana Shield, and Familiar. Familiar is what makes this a pain to fight. Class info, you are from Zhul'Kari. You become an elf, and Spider Totem is the weapon. Plague Lord, this is one of the most useful weapons in as far as class weapons go. Accursed or Accursed, Immune, and Contagion are your traits. You become from Darkstone. You are a human, and Essence of Evil, which why do I always say evil? I don't know, I guess it's fun. It's evil. This is a really powerful weapon. If you're going for class weapons, this is one of the first ones you should go for. I love it. I hate having it used against me because it's a pain. The introduction of lycanthropy kind of changes things a little bit, but you know, I still love this weapon. Next we have Priest. Traits are Divine Bond, Air Link, and Divine Aura. And class info, this makes you from Whitehelm. You become Divine, and the Staff of Saint Astra is the weapon. We're getting there, folks. Rune Priest. Customize, let's see. Traits are Dwarf Bond, Rocky Death, and Dwarven Metal. Class info, you become from Kazil, and you become a dwarf. Rune Forger is the class weapon. Here you go. Sentinel, which I mentioned at the start of this video, makes you from Urskaya, but I'm jumping the gun here. Let's give you the traits, which are Leader, Holy Armor, and Get Behind Me! This is one of the things right here that makes Sentinels so helpful. This is also extremely helpful. And class info, from Urskaya, you become an Urska, and this weapon right here is what will make Rowan from Forest of Thorns your very best friend. When you are low level, using Rowan with the Shield of Urskaya, she is unstoppable. It's just amazing. So this is another weapon you're going to want to go for, you know, depending on your play style, but in my opinion, that is one. Next is Shaman. Tauros Bond, Nature Spirit, and Bullish Vigor. Class info, you become from Wild Plains. You become a Tauros, and this is another one of my favorite weapons, the Ruby Fire Staff. Fire Ruby Staff. Look at this. This is just so useful, and I don't see people use it very often, but I love it. It's just really fun to use. It's very, very useful. Next up, we have Saleya. Traits are Grudge, Bloodlust, and Brutal Strike. Class info, you become from Dhrak-Zum and you are a dwarf. The Death Dealer is your weapon for here. Isn't that interesting? Hadn't really looked at this very closely before, but this is interesting. I think that has some potential. Next is Sorcerer. Magic Link, Inscribed, and Dark Channel. Class info, you become from Karakoth. You become a demon, and the Demonicon, this thing right here. I can't say it. I don't know how to say it. Demonomicon. There we go. Summons a demon. Looks totally useless to me. But, you know, I guess there could be some reason to use it. I can't think of one right offhand, but... Next up is Stormcaller. This is a super handy class to have because of the third trait here. First we've got Strix Bond, Shock, and then Storm Soul. So every single turn you're going to have a light storm. I'm sure you can see the potential on that one. So when you're using a finesse team, you want to have this class running. Absolutely. It's really useful. Did I mention? Okay, class info. You become from Suncrest, you become a Strix, and Thunderbird is your weapon. Sunspear is another super useful class, and for the same reason as Stormcaller, because of the third trait. We have Firebrand, Fireproof, and Heatwave. Firestorm at the start of every turn. This is what you want to be running with Phoenicia. This is what you want to be running when you need lots and lots of red, like you're using Yao Guai or anything like that. You want to be using this particular class if possible. So it makes you from the Pride Lands and you become a Raksha. Flame Soul is your weapon here. Next is Thief. This is another incredibly useful class. We have Greedy, Fast, and Sneak Attack. And class info, you become from Zacian, a goblin, oh joy. Hate fighting them, gotta say. And the Skeleton Key is your weapon here. Now it has been nerfed, it is still useful, but not as useful as it used to be. Tightcaller. Traits are Merfolk Bond, Aquatic, and Crashing Wave. Class info, you become from Merlantis, a merfolk, and the weapon is Three Sisters. I was playing with this today and it's actually quite useful. The nice thing about this over, say, my favorite Orb of Winter as far as blue weapons go, is that instead of scatter damage, this is splash damage, so it will hit submerged enemies, or stealthy ones if you want to hit one above or it'll hit above and below whichever troop you cast on, so that is cool. Titan, another one of the best, that's subjective of course, but one of the best classes in the game. So we've got Giant Bond, Big, and Giant Lord. Class info, you become from Stormheim. You become a giant, and the Thoradin is your weapon. Now, I could get into what makes Titan so good. It's in the talents, but I don't have time to do that for every one of these here. So I'm just going to finish up. We only have a few more to go. Next up is Warden. Traits are Avenger, Beast Bond, and Ward. Class info, you become from Mogrim Woods and you become a beast. Warden's Gauntlets are your weapon. And next, Warlord. Now, you probably know this one. If you're just starting out, this is the only choice you have. You have Fireheart, Frenzy, and Hack and Slash. I really loved this when I first started, but I haven't used it in ages now. You become from Broken Spire, you become a giant, and Warlord's Battle Cry is your weapon. One more, War Priest. Traits: Revered, Holy Armor, and Wrath of Anu. Class info: you become from Leona's Empire and a human, and the symbol of Anu is your weapon. Now, that is all of the classes currently in the game. Unfortunately, just going to any kingdom, you can see where what the class is if you haven't done the class quest yet. But the whole purpose of making this video is so that you can see, after you've finished the class quests, what classes for each kingdom, without having to look it up on another website. There are going to be timestamps in my description for your convenience. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out a lot. I know I'm going to be bookmarking it and referencing it quite a lot, and I hope that you will like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.